In the heart of the Sahara, where the wind sculpts the dunes into an endless ocean of sand, lies the ghost of an idea. It is the memory of a city that was not just built of mud and stone, but of knowledge and wisdom. A place whose very name became a synonym for the impossibly remote, yet whose reality was the vibrant center of a forgotten golden age. This is the story of Timbuktu and the enduring mystery of its magnificent lost libraries. Welcome to Echoes of Time. For centuries, the story of Africa was written by others, often depicted as a continent without a grand history of letters or scholarship. But deep within the sands of the Sahara, a different story was being written, inked onto parchment and bound in leather. In the city of Timbuktu, a beacon of enlightenment shone for hundreds of years, a testament to a sophisticated intellectual heritage that the world has only begun to appreciate. This was the heart of the sprawling and fabulously wealthy Mali Empire, and later the Songhai Empire, a critical crossroads on the trans-Saharan trade routes. Here, caravans laden with gold from the south and salt from the north did not just trade goods, they traded ideas, and the most precious commodity of all was knowledge. At its zenith, from the 13th to the 16th centuries, Timbuktu was one of the world's great intellectual and spiritual capitals, a vibrant metropolis that rivaled the scholarly centers of Baghdad, Cordoba, and Alexandria. Its beating heart was the legendary University of Sankore, a constellation of independent schools and mosques where scholars, scientists, poets, and theologians from across the Islamic world converged. They debated the philosophies of Aristotle, calculated the movements of the stars, and pioneered medical techniques. The city was home to 250,000 people, and a quarter of them were students and scholars, all engaged in the pursuit and production of knowledge. The streets hummed with intellectual fervor, a place where books were the most valuable treasure, often fetching a higher price than any other cargo in the marketplace. The physical embodiment of this African golden age was the city's vast collection of manuscripts. Tens of thousands of exquisite texts, meticulously copied by skilled scribes in elegant Arabic script and local languages like Songhai and Tamashek. These were not mere records, they were the encyclopedias of their time. Within their pages lay complex treatises on mathematics, detailing algebra and trigonometry. There were astronomical charts that mapped the heavens with breathtaking accuracy, allowing for the prediction of eclipses and the precise determination of prayer times. Medical texts described surgical procedures, the properties of medicinal plants, and the importance of hygiene. Legal scholars penned exhaustive commentaries on Islamic law that became the standard for much of West Africa, while philosophers debated the nature of existence and theologians explored the deepest mysteries of faith. These manuscripts were a profound testament to a thriving African civilization, a direct challenge to the long-held narratives of a dark continent untouched by history or intellectual achievement. The wealth that funded this intellectual explosion was almost beyond imagining. It was personified by the most famous of the Mali emperors, Mansa Musa. His pilgrimage to Mecca in the early 14th century is the stuff of legend. He traveled with an entourage of 60,000 men and a caravan of camels laden with so much gold that his spending in Cairo temporarily destabilized the entire Egyptian economy. This was the world that created the libraries of Timbuktu, a world of immense power, piety, and profound respect for the written word. But empires fall, and golden ages tarnish. The light of Timbuktu, once so brilliant, was destined to be dimmed, plunging its greatest treasures into centuries of obscurity and peril. The beginning of the end came in 1591. A powerful army from Morocco, armed with muskets, crossed the Sahara and fell upon the Songhai Empire. The Battle of Tondibi was a catastrophe. The Moroccan conquest shattered the old order, and Timbuktu, the city of scholars, became a city of spoils. The invaders looted its wealth, but their most devastating act was the assault on its intellectual heritage. The city's leading scholars were arrested, exiled, or killed. Libraries were ransacked, their precious contents scattered to the winds. A significant portion of this irreplaceable knowledge was tragically put to the torch, the smoke from burning books rising over the desert as a terrible funeral pyre for an era. What wasn't destroyed was stolen, carried back across the sands to Morocco or sold to collectors, forever erased from the memory of its homeland. This was the first great scattering, a violent cataclysm that began the long, slow process of Timbuktu's intellectual eclipse. In the centuries that followed, the relentless march of colonial powers would only compound the tragedy, showing little interest in preserving a history that contradicted their own worldview. This theory of widespread destruction and theft accounts for a vast portion of the loss. It's a narrative of cultural conquest, where knowledge is not just collateral damage, but a direct target. To control a people, you must first erase their history, and the burning of Timbuktu's libraries was a deliberate act of historical erasure. Yet, this is not the only explanation for the fate of the manuscripts. Amidst the chaos of invasion and the slow decline that followed, another, more hopeful story began to unfold, a quiet epic of cultural defiance and incredible resilience. Many of Timbuktu's citizens and the nomadic peoples of the surrounding desert understood the true value of what they stood to lose. They knew these books were not just paper and ink, but the very soul of their civilization. As invaders approached, a secret and desperate preservation effort began. Dedicated local families, the quiet guardians of history, took it upon themselves to save what they could. Countless manuscripts were spirited away in the dead of night. They were hidden in the most ingenious of places, secreted away in walled-up rooms within family compounds, buried in chests deep beneath the desert floor, or stashed in remote caves far from the reach of marauding armies and colonial administrators. For generations, these families became the secret librarians of the Sahara. The knowledge of these hidden collections was passed down from father to son, from mother to daughter, a sacred trust kept alive through centuries of quiet guardianship. They protected these texts from war, from theft, and from the ravages of time itself, waiting for a day when the world would once again be ready to receive their wisdom. This theory suggests that a significant portion of Timbuktu's heritage was not lost, but merely hidden, waiting patiently to be rediscovered. There is, however, a third, more insidious force at play, an enemy that is both relentless and impartial: the environment. The Sahara Desert is one of the harshest climates on Earth. The manuscripts, penned on paper or parchment with iron gall ink, are fragile things. They are vulnerable to the extreme fluctuations in temperature, from scorching days to frigid nights. They are threatened by the abrasive, ever-present sand that can wear away their surfaces, and by the rare but devastating floods that can turn them to pulp. Perhaps the greatest threat is the host of insects, particularly termites, which can devour a priceless 13th century astronomical text as easily as they would a dead piece of wood. This perspective argues that while invasions and preservation efforts tell part of the story, the sheer passage of time and the unforgiving climate have accounted for incalculable losses. For every manuscript burned by an invader or hidden by a guardian, perhaps dozens more simply crumbled into dust, their profound knowledge decaying slowly and silently, lost forever to natural decay. The tantalizing question for historians and archaeologists today is how to balance these three narratives. How much was destroyed, how much was hidden, and how much simply faded away? The modern era has seen a renewed and urgent quest to find the answers. For decades, scholars believed only a few thousand manuscripts had survived, but thanks to the bravery of those guardian families who are now slowly revealing their secret libraries, we know the number is vastly larger. It is estimated that hundreds of thousands of manuscripts still exist, scattered across the region in private collections. Today, a new race against time is underway. International organizations like UNESCO are working with local communities and the Malian government to locate, catalog, and preserve these fragile treasures. It is a painstaking process. Conservators in modern labs work to stabilize brittle pages and halt the corrosive effects of the ink. Digital technology has become a crucial ally, with teams carefully scanning each page, creating digital copies that can be studied by scholars around the world without risking the original artifact. This effort ensures that even if the physical manuscript succumbs to time, its knowledge will not be lost again. These surviving texts are already transforming our understanding of the past. They are keys that unlock the door to a sophisticated African history that shaped not only the continent, but the world. They reveal a deep engagement with the great scientific and philosophical questions of the age, proving that the European Renaissance was not the sole source of intellectual light in a dark world. The secrets held within these pages are not just historical curiosities. They are a vital part of our shared human story, a powerful reminder of the universal drive to explore, to understand, and to record our place in the cosmos. They are the echoes of a time when a city in the middle of the desert was the brightest center of learning on Earth. Yet, the mystery is far from solved. The vast majority of these texts have yet to be translated and studied. Political instability in the region continues to threaten their very existence. And the most profound question remains unanswered. How much more is still out there? How many more untold stories? How many more scientific breakthroughs? How many more philosophical insights are still buried, waiting to be rediscovered beneath the shifting sands? The Lost Library of Timbuktu is not truly a single place, but a vast, scattered collection, a puzzle of history with countless missing pieces. As we work to reassemble it, we are not just saving books, we are restoring a vital chapter of human history that was almost erased. What other forgotten golden ages, what other lost libraries still lie hidden in the quiet corners of our world, waiting for their own echoes to be heard?